Thank you guys for joining me here on the last segment of today's show. Just thought I'd bring up kind of an old topic, but with some more current news coming up here. The NFL back on Wednesday, we just talked about them having their league meeting. The NFL made it official back on Wednesday that in 2025, the NFL will feature an official NFL game in Berlin for the first time in history of the NFL. And we got Christopher O'Brien here. Antonio Pierce is gone. Dion taking over with Shador, and it would be an absolute clown show. They could bring Debo Samuel too in a trade and walk out together with a boombox. If anything says Vegas, it would be what you just pointed out in that statement. Shador, Dion, Debo in Vegas. It would be entertaining, 100%. But I mean, I kind of floated that idea before of Shador going there with his dad. A lot of people don't seem to be too big of fans of it. I like Shador. I think he's a decent quarterback, and I think just the personality is what it is. It's a problem when he's not playing well, and I think the performances have warranted some sort of, I guess, leeway, for a lack of a better terms, in that regard. If he's playing well and if he's throwing touchdowns, staying out of trouble and things like that, and if he wants to flex a Rolex or anything like that, I quite honestly would not care if I'm a fan. If he's winning games and doing everything he's supposed to be doing, staying out of trouble, he could do whatever he wants on the field, and things like that. It wouldn't bother me, but of course it all comes with the results. If he's doing that and they lose and it's not going well, then yes, the sentiment that it would be a clown show would definitely be valid. But I think Shador's going to do all right in the NFL, probably with the Giants or the Raiders. So we'll see. I don't think Dion's going to go though. My hopes have been lowered in that regard. So I think it would be cool to see it. But I just also advertised for Antonio Pierce, so I can't play the fence. So I'm leaning towards Antonio Pierce now, unfortunately. But back to this topic on the NFL, going back to Germany, but for the first time ever playing in Berlin, Germany in 2025. The game is set to take place at the Olympic Stadium. The location, if you guys were soccer fans or if there was any soccer fans listening, the Olympic Stadium will be the location of the NFL game. That's where the Euros played their final, where Spain defeated England. In that stadium, that's where the game is going to take place. And this would mean that for the fourth season in a row, Germany would be awarded a regular season game in the NFL. So Germany is definitely building, a pretty good reputation there with the NFL, and the fans, just from watching it on TV, seem like they're into it, seem like they love it. So that's obviously the end goal for the NFL, getting this game to grow everywhere else. And it seems like Germany, it's been pretty popular over the last 4 seasons. Also, there's no further information like who's going to play there or, when would it be. But this has been something the NFL has been working on really hard to achieve. If you know this because last month, Roger Goodell told reporters to actually believe the rumors about there being a game in Berlin. Usually he would be very monotone and just very saying a lot without actually giving you an answer, but he actually, backed the rumors and felt pretty confident that the NFL could have a game in Berlin, and, lo and behold, they got it. It's been announced they're going to have one there, and that's super exciting for the NFL to continue to grow their game. But also he mentioned that it wouldn't stop there. I thought this was pretty interesting, where early last month, Roger Goodell said that they are still trying to increase the international games from 5 this year to about 8 as early as next year. And on that point, Roger Goodell said, "We are definitely going to Spain. We expect to return to Mexico City. We expect to return to Brazil, and we will certainly be back in the UK. And we're also looking at the potential of another game in Ireland, possibly." So if they want to have 8 international games, that would be about about half the season in the current format, about an international game for half of the season, I would say. So it seems like a pretty decent split if you broke it up that way. And I think that would be the max. I think 8 games, maybe 9 is all right, but anything in the double digits I think would be a bit too much. So if you keep it from 8 to 9 games per season in terms of international games, that seems like a pretty reasonable split. And I'm guessing Ireland is going to be the next location to kind of be announced here because there's been a lot of hype and attention that's been getting, particularly from the Steelers and their good relationships over there in Ireland. I think the way they talk about it and the way Roger Goodell talks about it and the fact that the Steelers really want to go play there, I have a feeling that they're going to get it done and they're going to announce it probably at the beginning of next year, if I had to guess. So in that case, if there was an Ireland game, you can almost guarantee that the Steelers are going to be playing in it. So that would be one of their latest international games in recent memory. They usually don't play them. It's usually like the Jaguars or the Bears or something like that. But I have a pretty decent feeling that Ireland's going to be announced as one of these next new places over the next, few months here. So the NFL also hasn't been back in Mexico City. Roger Goodell mentioned Mexico City there, but they haven't been back there since 2022 because the Estadio Azteca has been under construction. So it looks like that construction is set to be finished by the beginning of next year, or by the time football season starts, the construction should all be done because they've been going on since like 2022, 2023. So that's the expectation to kind of get back there. So I'm going to be optimistic about that as well and think that Mexico City is going to be a location next year as well. So if we take all that information that we gathered from Roger Goodell and from just my own inclinations, I would say next year that we're going to have 2 games in Germany, in Berlin obviously, and also in Munich. I think those will be the 2 cities. Then the United Kingdom's always like a hosting city, so it'll be 2 in the United Kingdom. I think both in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, maybe one there and maybe another one in Wembley. There's going to be 2 there, 2 in Germany. There's going to be 1 in Spain. I've heard that it's probably going to be at Real Madrid Stadium, the Santiago Bernabeu, or I've also heard that it could be at Atletico Madrid's stadium, the Wanda Metropolitano. So it could be one of them. It could be one of those 2, probably Madrid, either one, as the 2 main stadiums. So the fact that Roger Goodell said that they're definitely going there, I'm going to say only 1 game is played there, as a new location. So that brings it up to 5. And then I have the return to Mexico City at the Estadio Azteca. That'll be another one. So that's 6. I have 1 in Ireland because I think that's just my inclination. I think they're going to get it done, especially with the Steelers and how big of a franchise they are. Playing in Ireland, they're going to want to get that done. So that's 7. And I think they're going to go back to Brazil for how big of an operation it was and how, I guess, big of a spectacle and a big moment it was for the first time in South America. Roger Goodell seems to be in good spirits about it. He had some pretty high praise about the game in Brazil and how everything went pretty smoothly, and the fact that Saquon went crazy as well. I have a feeling that they're going to go back there too. So if we round all of that up, we got 2 games in Germany, 2 games in the United Kingdom, 1 in Spain, 1 in Mexico City, 1 in Ireland, and 1 in Brazil. Almost all the continents would be hit. Kinda. You're still missing Africa, Asia, obviously, and, Australia, I guess, too. That would be another one that they could eventually get to, but that one's obviously a lot more challenging because of the time. But I think those are my predictions if I were to give one. But the biggest news, just coming this week was that Berlin has been officially, confirmed as one of the new cities. I expect Spain to be one, Ireland to be announced at some point in the coming months, and maybe a small announcement that they're going to go back to Mexico City. But I like the fact that 8 is a good number for them. And also, kind of a random, tangent here, but I like the fact that 8 to 9 international games is a good idea for the fact that in terms of expanding, the idea of the American culture, a sport that's so rooted in what the United States is, I think it's a good idea to do it this year, obviously, and then going into next year and a little bit, into 2026 because you're going to have a ton of people in the country for the World Cup, obviously, in 2026. So it's an opportunity to kind of, express the United States along with Mexico and Canada, obviously, but with a lot of the venues being in the United States, I think it's important to grow a sport that's native to the United States and that's so big over here to grow it to different parts and kind of, you know, share it with everybody else before, the whole world, converges here for the World Cup in 2026. I think the idea of the NFL spreading out to different places and kind of spreading the American culture is a good idea. So when people do come here, they kind of have a better understanding of one of the major sports and, the places and things like that. I think those kind of go hand in hand there. So all of it is just a ploy, to just try and get the news out there, spreading the game even more. And I think it's pretty cool, honestly, going to all these different places, but trying not to overdo it, obviously, for the players' sake. But that was the last piece of news that we had on today's show. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on today's episode of the Chip Shot Football Podcast. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the show, as well as following the network on all forms of social media as well. And please remember, every weekday, the Chip Shot Football Podcast goes live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to join me, your host, Manny Maradiaga, each and every weekday to talk more about the NFL, more breaking stories, more discussions, more previews, and all that sort of stuff that comes with the NFL. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys back here again with me on Monday.